He was the freckled, red-haired boy with a smile that could melt hearts and a presence that defined a generation of television. But behind those bright eyes was a secret he's kept buried for decades, tied to one powerful episode of Family Affair that aired in 1966, an episode so emotionally raw, so hauntingly real, that Johnny Whitaker has refused to ever watch it again. What happened on that set? What broke the child behind the camera? This isn't just TV history, it's a revelation. Stay with us, because the truth will shake you. John Orson Whitaker Jr. was born on December 13, 1959, in Van Nuys, California, the fifth of 8 children in a devout Mormon family. From the very beginning, Johnny had something special and undeniable charisma, a natural spark. At just 3 years old, he stepped in front of a camera for the first time in a local commercial for a used car dealership. That single moment launched him into a life of spotlight and performance. Soon, Johnny became a familiar face in homes nationwide through a series of commercials, most memorably for Mattel toy makers. He lent his voice to beloved characters like Larry the Lion and Crackers the Parrot in the popular Animal Yakers toy line. His joyful energy and animated delivery helped make the toys a sensation and cemented him as one of the most recognizable child actors in the country. But Johnny wasn't just a commercial star. He had range. By 1965, Johnny Whitaker made a remarkable leap from commercials into television drama, landing the role of Scotty Baldwin on the popular daytime soap opera General Hospital. Even at such a young age, his ability to portray deep emotion, crying on cue, showing real vulnerability, and holding his ground alongside adult actors marked him as a standout talent. His emotional range didn't go unnoticed. In 1966, he was cast in the Cold War comedy film The Russians Are Coming, where he worked with veteran actor Brian Keith. Keith, impressed by Johnny's professionalism and natural charm, recommended him for a role that would define his career. That role was Jody Davis on the CBS sitcom Family Affair, a show about a bachelor, Uncle Bill Davis, raising his brother's 3 orphan children. Johnny starred alongside Anissa Jones as Buffy, Kathy Garver as Sissy, and Sebastian Cabot as Mr. French, the lovable butler. Originally, Jody and Buffy weren't written as twins, but the chemistry between Whitaker and Jones was so strong, producers changed the script. Their connection helped make Family Affair one of television's most cherished hits. But not everything was perfect behind the scenes. During the early run of the show, one episode pushed Johnny to his emotional limits. It was titled Mrs. Beasley, Where Are You? On the surface, it was a simple story about Buffy losing her favorite doll, Mrs. Beasley, and Jody helping her search. But for Johnny, it was so much more than that. He was only 6 years old when he filmed it. The episode required him to express intense sadness, fear, and grief, emotions that, unknown to the audience, mirrored his own. The tears that viewers saw were real, not acting. Johnny later admitted in interviews that he wasn't just performing, he was experiencing something deeply personal. At that age, he didn't know how to separate the role from reality. The emotional weight overwhelmed him. Filming those scenes with Anissa Jones, who had become like a sister to him, stirred feelings of vulnerability and insecurity that he didn't yet understand. Even decades later, Johnny Whitaker refuses to watch that episode, not because of embarrassment or ego, but because it reopens a wound that never truly healed. To him, that episode represents not only the emotional toll of being a child star, but also the loss of innocence. It became a moment frozen in time, a symbol of a childhood spent under pressure, expected to perform when he was still figuring out what it meant to feel. Despite the emotional strain, Johnny continued acting and taking on diverse roles. In 1968, he appeared on the legendary Western series Bonanza in an episode called A Dream to Dream, written by Michael Landon and co-starring Julie Harris. The performance showed his dramatic range. A year later, he starred as the title character in The Littlest Angel, a Hallmark Hall of Fame special. Sharing the screen with Fred Gwynne and Tony Randall, he was also seen on shows like Bewitched, where he played Jack in the fairy tale-inspired episode Samantha and the Beanstalk, and Green Acres, where he appeared into episodes as Willie and Dinky Watson. He took a faith-based turn in 1970 with A Day for Justin, produced by The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a project that reflected his religious upbringing. His career only expanded in the early 1970s when he partnered with Walt Disney Studios for several films. These included Snowball Express, a comedy about a family inheriting a rundown hotel, The Biscuit Eater, a story about a boy and his dog, and Napoleon and Samantha, where he co-starred with a young Jodie Foster in her film debut. Each role further cemented Johnny's place in the hearts of American audiences. But it was in 1973 that he delivered one of his most iconic performances as Tom Sawyer. In the musical film adaptation of Mark Twain's classic novel, his portrayal of the mischievous and kind-hearted boy remains one of the most beloved interpretations of the character. Critics and fans alike praised Johnny for embodying Tom Sawyer so naturally it felt like he had leapt from the pages of the book. As Johnny entered adolescence, he gradually stepped away from acting, the pressures of fame, the emotional wear from years in the spotlight, and a desire for a normal life all played a part. He worked behind the scenes for a time, becoming a computer consultant for CBS, and later joined his sister's company, Whitaker Entertainment, as a talent manager. One of his most well-known clients was Dana Plato, the troubled star of Different Strokes. Johnny tried to help her through her struggles, revealing a depth of compassion and understanding born from his own experience with childhood fame. In 1999, he was honored with the Young Artist's former Child Star Lifetime Achievement Award, a tribute to his enduring impact and the grace with which he had navigated the transition from child stardom to adulthood. The award recognized not just the performances that captured a generation, but the personal strength that carried him through. In 2012, he returned to the spotlight in a different way, co-hosting a radio talk show called The Dr. Zod and Johnny Show. The show allowed him to reconnect with fans, sharing stories from his career and insights from his life. A year later, he stepped back on stage in To Kill a Mockingbird, playing the role of Judge Taylor for the Judson Theater Company, a quiet, powerful return to his acting roots. In 2016, Johnny appeared in a nostalgic cameo for the Amazon reboot of Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, the beloved Saturday morning show he had once starred in back in the 1970s. This time, he played a grumpy boat owner named Zach, in a tribute that delighted longtime fans and introduced him to a new generation. The reboot even featured the original creators, Sid and Marty Krofft, bringing the journey full circle. Yet through it all, every performance, every stage, every comeback, there remains that one episode. Mrs. Beasley, Where Are You? An episode Johnny still cannot bring himself to watch. Not out of bitterness, not out of regret, but because it captured something too real, too raw. It became a mirror of emotions too big for a child to hold and too painful for an adult to relive. When Anissa Jones passed away tragically in 1976, that episode took on an even deeper weight. It wasn't just a memory anymore, it became a symbol of love, loss, and the complicated legacy of child stardom. For Johnny, it remained sacred. He still cherishes Family Affair and the love it brought. But that one episode remains sacred, a quiet tribute to the boy he once was, because some performances aren't acted, they're lived. If Johnny's journey moved you, like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from Hollywood's golden age. Thanks for watching.